On film, Levis has a lot of the same upside that Richardson has. He has a cannon of an arm, probably the strongest in the entire class. He has excellent mobility, similar rushing upside to Richardson. He actually has a really fast and smooth release when throwing as well, and I think he's actually underrated in terms of how accurate he actually is. So he has all the same upside as Anthony Richardson in my opinion, but he comes with a lot less baggage than Richardson in terms of the negatives and the holes in his profile. That clip was from my initial 2023 quarterback class review back in February, and I still believe that that take holds up today. I mean, clearly it does. Levis just put up a 30-point fantasy game, which is better than Richardson's top scoring week this year. But at the end of the day, it's still Will Levis, right? I mean, he's the super polarizing prospect with suspect decision-making on and off the field, a big drop in production from year 3 to year 4 in college, and who fell out of the first round in the NFL draft. For all we know, this could have just been Will Levis's best fantasy performance of his career. But what if it isn't? What if Will Levis is actually good? That's a question that I've rarely seen asked since his historic debut on Sunday. Everyone has just tossed that game aside, admitting that, yeah, it was super fun to watch, but it's not a testament to the future of Levis's career. And sure, he's not going to throw 4 touchdowns every single week, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to be a good NFL and fantasy quarterback just because he doesn't do that. I honestly hate to be that guy right now, but watch the film. There are a ton of plays where Levis looks super confident and poised in the pocket, especially for a rookie in his first NFL game. I was super amazed at his pocket presence all game. He delivered very accurate passes at all lengths of the field, especially those deep passes are just mwah. And what's crazy enough is he actually could have had an even better statistical day if Chigokonkwo didn't have a terrible drop that would have easily been a 30 or 40-yard play. And no, it wasn't a perfect game. He had some bad decisions. One pass that very easily could have been picked. And the Falcons' defense is certainly not the most difficult of matchups for an opposing quarterback, but you honestly can't watch this tape and not be excited at the possibility of a franchise quarterback in Tennessee, just like Buffalo was excited with Josh Allen as a rookie, and just how Philly got glimpses of greatness from Jalen Hurts very early on in his career. And perhaps the craziest part of this performance too is he didn't really do much on the ground. He rushed 7 times, which is a great number, but only for 11 yards. If he maintains a very high level of passing prowess and then adds in the rushing upside that we saw in college, that's how he hits a Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts level of ceiling in fantasy. This is very real, guys. I don't want to overreact too much to just one game, but I was already a Levis believer before the NFL draft, and this performance just matched what I believe that he could get to. So with all that said now, how far up the quarterback rankings am I moving him up in Dynasty? Well, to start, we can look at our favorite overreactionary website, Keep Trade Cut, for a baseline of the community's initial hype, which places him as the quarterback 21 in Dynasty, above guys like Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, and to be honest, I understand that ranking completely, but I'm going to take it one step further. I would also take Will Levis right now in Dynasty over Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, and Jordan Love. And I'm very close to also adding in Jared Goff, not because he's not good or he's not a secure asset and his job's on the line, but because he is just who he is. There's not really a ton of upside with Jared Goff, but with Will Levis, as I just mentioned, he has that ability to be a top 10, top 5 fantasy quarterback, and that's driving a ton of this value bump for him over a bunch of guys who either aren't secure in their jobs, as they could potentially lose their jobs at the end of the year or the end of next year, or just don't have that same fantasy upside that Will Levis has. So that makes him a top 18 dynasty quarterback for me just after one game, which might sound crazy to a lot of you out there. I completely understand that, but this ranking might be low by the end of the year even as we look towards 2024. So with that being said, what am I willing to pay for him to acquire him in Superflex? Am I paying a first-round pick? And yes, I am paying a late 2024 first-round pick. I'm not sending away an early first or even a mid-first if you're on the edge of making playoffs, but if you have a contender's first-round pick that's 109 or later, a very solid, good playoff team, I would trade that for Will Levis right now. I would also be looking to flip guys like Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett, Jordan Love, send them all 1-for-1 for Will Levis because their floors are all the same as Will Levis. They could all be jobless in a year, to be completely honest, but Levis's upside is massive compared to all of those guys because just like Pitbull said, reach for the stars, and if you don't grab them, let yourself on top of the world. But hey, while we're talking about massive upside and second half breakouts for the 2023 season, Justin just put out a video on 4 rookies that are all in for huge second half seasons, and one of them actually just hit last week, so your clock is ticking for these guys. So check that video out right up here.